Amy Henry's daughter was finally getting to attend sixth grade in school after 1 year at home due to the COVID lockdowns. But this did not turn out to be the happy experience she had been hoping for. In fact, she was targeted, bullied, and beaten up by a vicious gang of girls. Instead of coming to her aid, the school protected her attackers. How Amy is fighting back on behalf of all children is coming up next. Welcome to the Moms for America podcast. Each week, special guests tackle the issues facing the moms of America today. Discussions include personal stories and advice on how moms can build a strong foundation of faith, family, and freedom in their homes and country. Hello, moms. I'm Debbie Corralitis, your host, and I'm so glad that you're joining us again this week. We do always at the top of the show here want to invite you to like and to subscribe to our podcast. So please, please, please go ahead and do that on all of our formats. I'm not sure if you're listening through your earpods or if you're watching on video, but would you go ahead and like and subscribe to our podcast? Also, would you share this podcast with your mom friends? We've got great material every week, and this one, of course, is going to be very interesting regarding bullying. Wow. Also, moms, if you are not a part of our Moms for America family, I would like to personally invite you to join Moms for America. Who are we? We are moms uniting all across the country to fight for family, faith, freedom, and the Constitution. You can check us out, Moms for America, at momsforamerica.us. Find out all about us, our mission, our pillars, the resources that we have for you as moms is pretty powerful there. So go ahead and check us out. Also, if you have any ideas for the podcast, I love hearing from you. Any feedback is always welcome, and any ideas would be welcomed as well. You can email me at podcast@momsforamerica.net. I would love to hear from you. So super thanks on that. Alrighty, on to today's program. Well, currently, Amy Henry is running for the Idaho House of Representatives. She's a rock star. Politics have never been a career path that she's even considered. Amy is an educator and had taught middle school for years before taking time off to raise her family. But Amy, she was compelled to throw her hat into the ring on behalf of Idaho's children and parents. Amy's eyes were opened when her own young daughter experienced horrific treatment at school, first by bullies and then by the school administrators. The more Amy learned about local laws and federal rules, the more concerned she became. Welcome, Amy, to the Moms for America podcast. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you, Debbie. I'm glad to be here with you.
Yes. Well, listen, we always love to hear about everyone's family a little bit, your kids, your tribe. What do you have going on over there?
Well, I'm a wife of an Air Force vet. I have 3 kids, a son that's graduated, another son that's graduating tonight, actually, and then my daughter that's just finishing up 8th grade.
Oh, nice. Well, congratulations and thank you to your husband. So we appreciate everybody that's helping save America on all those levels. So we're going to get into the story about what happened to your daughter, Carly. Can you introduce us to a little bit about Carly, who she was, what kind of child is she?
Well, Carly, she's been through quite a lot, actually. Early on in her education, she struggled a lot. We couldn't figure out what she was going through. Actually, she was having a hard time in school, and as an educator, I struggled. I tried everything to help her. She was having a hard time early on reading, but you could tell talking to her that she was a very smart child. We had her eyes tested, we had her hearing tested, we ran her through every test I knew as an educator to run her through, and we couldn't find anything. And the schools really were giving up on her and wanted to put her in extended resource. And I knew as a parent that wasn't the answer. I knew she was bright. All you had to do was talk to her, but she wasn't thriving in school.
Okay.
And so in 4th grade, there was this mom across the hall, actually, from her classroom, and Carly was really having a hard time. She was having hemorrhaging, just horrible nosebleeds every day by about 10 o'clock. And she was having migraines, and things were just getting worse. And she just was not doing well. And she was in a private school, and they were trying, we were trying.
Sure.
But this mother says to me, have you had her eyes tested? And I said, yes, every year, we're doing everything.
Right.
And she said, you need to take her to the specialist. And so she gave me the name of the specialist, and we went, and come to find out, she was double-sided. So everything she was seeing 10 centimeters apart, double.
Oh, wow.
Every letter, every picture. And it's an extreme case that they only see in stroke victims or victims, soldiers that come back that have had major like IED instances or, been by a bomb.
Mm.
And so she had to go through major therapy, occupational therapy, vision therapy, physical therapy, to retrain her vision. And she was way behind. And so we did that for 2 years. And then, COVID hits, but the kids are getting ready to go back to school, and she wants to go.
Right. We all remember this, right? Everybody's on lockdown. Everybody wants to get back to school. They're going to go back part-time this time, so
Right.
COVID was such a hard time for all of us. And especially she was in 5th grade?
So it's 6th grade.
6th grade. Okay.
So we'd done 2 years of this extensive therapy, very expensive, even though we had great insurance, tens of thousands of dollars out of pocket.
Yeah.
But she wanted to go. And so here we are, the kids are still muzzled, they got their masks on. And,
right.
But the beginning of the school year, we all go through this online process. And this is when parents are really waking up.
Sure they are.
And as an educator, I'm watching what's happening.
Yeah.
These teachers, for example, her math teacher would get the kids started 6th grade. Here we are online at home, and she'd get them started, and then she'd disappear.
Yeah.
So I would end up teaching the kids from home, the class, if they needed help.
That was so crazy over here too with my son. I was like, he lost a whole year and a half. That's why I ended up putting him in private school myself. But COVID was just devastating for the kids.
Well, hindsight's 2020, right? Looking back, we're all like, what were we thinking? At least I am, and all of my friends were like, why didn't we do this, or why didn't we do that? And we're kind of hard on ourselves. But then I think we were all somewhat traumatized and shocked on what we were seeing. The first 6 days of that year, they had Carly registered online as an English teacher. And I couldn't get any help. The school would not change it. And so she couldn't take classes because she was an English teacher. And I couldn't get anybody to help me because they kept saying, it's a COVID year, give us a break. I heard that time and time again.
Right.
And it was like they wanted to pay us back for, I don't know what, like they were trying to teach us how hard it was to be a teacher. I already knew how hard it was.
Right. You knew that because you were. Right.
Right. And so I was trying to be sympathetic and patient, but I couldn't get anything to happen. So finally, I sent them an email and I said, listen, let's register her as a student so she can learn, or let's send her a paycheck. And then I finally got some help. So they register her as a student.
Right.
So we're fast forwarding to 2021.
Right. I'm sorry. So that was 5th grade. Now we're going to 6th grade.
So we're still 6th grade.
Okay.
She's 6th grade. We're online school.
Okay.
We're going into finally letting the kids go into the building.
Yep.
It was about
finally opening up
2021.
Okay.
And we still couldn't let them go full time.
Right. Part-time.
Part-time. So 50% of the kids could go
right
a day, the other 50% B day here.
Yep.
Totally masked, everything had to be spread out because it's much safer that way. Right. And so it's my sarcasm, sorry.
I know.
So we let them go. She was a day. So she's just barely into the building. And here's all these 6th graders, and it's middle school here.
Yep.
So it's their first time in the building. And they don't know where anything is. They don't know who's who. They don't know where to go if they need anything. But here they go. And we didn't know this as parents. And I'm assuming as a teacher who taught junior high math, we always taught our incoming students, where do you go if you need something? Where do you go for safety? Who do you talk to if there's an emergency? So I find out later, of course, none of this takes place, but I didn't know it at the time. So here they are. She's going on A days every other day with 50% of the kids, and they're all masked. You see this much of the clip. So she's not there very long, maybe a month. And she comes home one day And I had a text message from this one teacher that was so lovely, that Carly's had a panic attack, not a big deal, panic attack. I figured, well, who wouldn't have a panic attack? You're not breathing all day long.
Right. And plus, did she ever have panic attacks before this, by the way?
No, not really,
No.
other than,
Okay.
the stress from the nosebleeds and all that. But it's
Right.
new,
Okay.
everything's new,
Right. So you're
And so I
thinking
didn't
it's
think,
stress of the school. I get it.
yeah, junior high, middle school, I didn't think much of it.
Okay.
And Carly hadn't said anything.
Okay.
And so I didn't think too much of it. So 2 days goes by and she goes back and I get another text message that she's had another panic attack. And I'm still not thinking too much of it other than her jeans are torn at the knee and she's bleeding.
Hmm.
And so she tells me that these girls had thrown rocks at her and she'd fallen down. And so now I'm starting to think something's not right.
Right. You're putting two and two together.
Right. So this is a Thursday. She doesn't go on Friday because that's the B-Day kids. So
Right.
Monday, she goes back. And, you have the weekend, and I'm thinking, okay, we've had the weekend. Let's see how Monday goes.
Is she communicating much to you during this point or not
No.
really? She's kind of just playing it off like, it's okay, Mom, don't worry.
Right.
Okay.
So really all I've learned from her in this short period of time is that they taught her some, probably should not tell you this online in case kids are listening, things they should not have taught her. They did not have permission to teach her. She was not taking this sex ed class. And that all of the girls that are her friends have decided they want to be boys. So that's all I've learned so far. And so that's all I know so far. So she goes back on Monday. Their lunch starts at 10:22 in the morning. So they go outside at 10:22 after they eat.
Like a recess kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
They eat and then they go outside.
Right.
And then she comes home, gets home at about 3 o'clock, 2:50, 3 o'clock. She comes home and her face is beat up. She's beat up.
Clearly.
And
you can see it, right?
Yes.
No one's called you from the school?
Not a word. No text message, nothing.
Now, again, she's getting beat up on the face, and that's why the medical condition that we talked about in the beginning of the show is so important, because she clearly had some medical issues. So this is not good that your daughter has now gotten punched or hit, whatever it is, in the face. So you're worried. You're worried.
Very. And the school knows. So as an educator, I made sure that they knew.
Sure.
She's on an IEP, an individualized education plan. So the counselor knows, the vice principal knows, the teachers all know the issues with her head. So she does not need any head trauma. But yet 10:30, because I have the video, they knew this happens at 10:30. They put her in a room, and by room I mean box, basically is what I call it, pure child abuse, for the day. And the dean of students, who does not know her at all, questions her for the day.
No one calls you still?
No word. So the whole day. So from 10:30 until the bell rings, a little after 2:30, she is questioned for the entire day. Why is she not nicer to these girls? If she was nicer to these girls, this wouldn't have happened to her. On and on and on and on. And never contacts me. She could have had a brain bleed. I mean, she doesn't.
Of course.
She didn't. But I mean, who knows? They don't know. He's not a doctor.
Right. Oh, by the grace of God. Yeah.
Right. And so she comes home and I see this. And as you can imagine, I was not happy.
Right.
So I pick up the phone and I call and I talk to the dean of students, who I do not know from Adam. And little did he know what he was going to be dealing with. So for 45 minutes, my husband said I had a lot to say. And I'm very professional, but
that's your child. Yeah.
That is where my journey began. And I will go to my grave helping children because of that very day. So
let me just clear something. Let me just state a couple of things here. So you knew at that point when your daughter came home that she was being beat up by girls at school, that there was a couple of incidences, right? The first day when she came home with a panic attack, they were actually spitting on her backpack. Is that correct?
No. It was all came together all at once.
Oh, okay. So all of this at one time, they threw rocks at her, they attack her on the school property.
this all comes together all at once. So now
Okay.
she comes through the door and it's all coming clear. So she tells me the first day they spit all over her backpack.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Okay.
Second day they threw the rocks at her.
Right.
And she was sent to the office, the counseling office, the first day from them coming after her, spitting on her things. She had a panic attack and had to go to the counseling office and see the nurse.
Right.
The second day they threw the rocks and she was
Right.
all cut up, panic attack, sent to the office. A report, they have to file a counseling report or whatever.
Right. Again, no one's contacted you. Right.
Nope. Nothing,
day.
no official contact, only
Right.
the teacher texting me, which she could be in trouble for, which is crazy. And then the third day, the attack, again, no contact at all. And
why were these girls after her? What was happening?
They like to prey on vulnerable kids. And I find out much later. In fact, I just found out this year that it was a gang. They have rights, so they can't tell me it's a gang. They like to prey on vulnerable, and she's new to the district.
Okay.
And so they didn't know her.
And she was she kind of shy too?
Very, yeah. And she hadn't been in public school, so new to the district, hadn't been in public school, white, quiet, not wanting to turn into a boy, the only one of that group. A lot of things, I believe.
Right. Right. They targeted her because of her, I guess, her profile, almost profiled her. Right.
And then they celebrate afterwards, after they do it. But here's these things are very important. So I call the dean of students. Okay. He tells me that my daughter, if she was nicer to these types of girls, she would not have been targeted. So the mother in me was furious because I said, do you know my daughter? Have you talked to the counselor about her? Have you talked to her teachers? Have you talked to the vice principal? Because they all know her very well.
Right.
Had you called me and said this was my boys? Probably true. Very true. My daughter? No, not true.
No. So you knew this was a lie. You don't even know her.
Right. Nothing about her. But you use her in a box all day long before even talking to anybody that knows her. And then,
terrible.
Yes. And then he says to me, ma'am, and I'd heard this so many times all year, it's a COVID year. Give us a break. These kids are all masked and we do not know who is who. So then he hit the teacher in me and I saw red. And that's when I said, and the vice principal was on the line. I finally found out. And he said, oh, I'm here on the line. And I knew him well. And I said, that is it. That means to me that none of these kids in your building are safe. If you don't know who's who, you have no business having your school building open.
Right.
So I demanded a meeting with the administration and the counselors. And I said, your building is not safe.
Right. And my daughter's getting attacked and you don't know who it is, supposedly.
Right. And you don't know who's who. Then why do you have your school building open? Because who else is in danger?
Right.
What do you mean you don't know who's who? They're just all numbers.
It's a fair question.
Right. And so our daughter didn't go back until I had this meeting.
Okay.
And I wanted to know what all their safety protocols were. And I didn't speak as a mother. I was there as an educator. I was curious. And I found out that they locked their school building. So those kids all are sent outside and there's all these buildings. So you're talking all these corridors. And there's one lady in a golf cart with these plastic sides all around the golf cart so she doesn't get wind or rain. And you can't see. I mean, there's all these corners. You can't see what's going on. She can't see.
Oh, so she's patrolling. She's patrolling the playground.
Well, she's not really moving.
Right.
She stays in one location. From the videos.
So patrolling's a bad word. I get it. Okay. So she's just out there and she's supposed to be the one that is monitoring.
Right.
Okay.
And in her defense, I have a hard time defending her only because I've watched many times how she does not move.
Okay.
And so I have a problem with that. But in her defense, there should be more than one person.
Good. Okay.
And in the video, you can see my daughter trying to get into the building and she cannot.
Oh, so you got to see the video of them attacking her.
Yes. Oh. And she's locked out of the building. She cannot get the door open. And they said, well, we have to do that. We don't want the kids in the building. Great. Super. So you lock them outside. So all of the adults can be inside enjoying themselves at lunch. Now, I never got to do that when I was an educator. That is not what you sign up for. So she can't get in the building. She can't get away from the girls. So they're preying on her. Adults are inside, doors are locked. So she's trying to run away the other way. She can't. She can't get to the lady on the golf cart. So finally, some girls come in and grab her and rescue her and pull her away. It's the only way she gets away from them. So that's what you see. It's pretty horrible actually to watch. And
terrible as a mom, yeah.
it could have been really bad. It
Right.
wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Right.
But
Thankfully, those girls
not
helped her
safe.
out. Yeah.
Not safe for
Bottom
children
line,
at
yep.
all. So we took care of that. We cleared that up. Again, we never found out that it was a gang until much later. The police encouraged us to press charges, so we did.
Okay.
The school, I wrote a letter to the school board. They doxed us. They doxed my daughter. That very day, our house was, all the hardware on our front door was destroyed. They tried to break in.
You said you went to the school board and they doxed you.
Yes, myself and my daughter.
How is that even possible?
They just put all of our information online.
Awful.
And that very day, somebody tried to break in. My son was home. He was 16 at the time. And he heard them from downstairs. So he came upstairs. I don't know if that's what stopped them. I don't know what stopped them. But
right.
The police came that night. My husband was out of town. So the police came that night, helped me put my door back together, tighten all the doorknob back on and everything.
Like your daughter hasn't been through enough. Now they're coming to the house.
Right. And then 6 days later, they came back and destroyed the security system. So the first day that they tried to break in, a man came up to me in my driveway at about 10:45 at night, and he knew everything about me. And I told him the police were on their way because they were, and he finally left. And I thought it was all about what I was trying to do with the school board, because as soon as I was given all the information about the masking and that they didn't know who was who,
right, unsafe,
I gathered a group of moms, and 7 of us decided we were going to get the school district to make masks optional.
Yeah.
And we did. So that's what I thought all of that was about.
Right.
And I thought that's what the doxing and everything was about. And we were stalked for months, and I thought that's what that was about.
But
it wasn't. And they put my daughter on a kill list, and we just barely got her off of that. And it was horrible. They said they were going to chop her head off with a chainsaw, and it was pretty vivid.
Oh my goodness.
So
here, this is this child that's going to school in 6th grade, and this is what happens.
Right.
And the school does not rise up and protect and try to stop any of this.
No.
And they basically leave you to fend for yourself and basically say, too bad it's a COVID year.
Oh yeah, they didn't care. And they never told us it was a gang. I found out this year because this gang was on the front page. They made news when we were working on passing legislation for this bathroom bill to protect girls in the bathroom. And a school district neighboring us made big time news. And the girl that had led this gang was on the front page of all the news stations and the paper. And it was the girl that attacked my daughter, the leader. And her grandfather ran for our Idaho Supreme Court. And he is the ex-husband of the grandmother of one of the stalkers. And I followed them from our house one day. I just had it. I was so tired of being stalked. And I followed them and found out that they were all connected.
Wow.
And that's how we found out it was the Little Rosa gang.
Wow. What were you able to do, I guess, legally?
You can't. I couldn't get a restraining order. They wouldn't give me one back then.
Nothing.
And now I know why. When you have those types of connections, that's why they wouldn't give me one. It didn't matter how many videos or pictures I had of being stalked or what had happened.
Nothing.
With reports to the break-ins. I couldn't get anywhere, and I would call the police and be on hold. In fact, one day when we were being stalked, I called the police, and it was 50 minutes. And I finally was so tired of waiting because they told me I couldn't call 911. And I was so tired of waiting, I stayed on the phone and I drove to the police station. So I'm still on the phone. I get to the police station. God bless our police. I know they're busy.
Right.
But I was just doing what they told me to do. I didn't want to call 911. And so here I am on the phone and I walk into the police station and I said, we're still being stalked. It's been 2 months
Mm,
and here's my phone. I don't know what to do,
right.
but I've been calling you. I'm on hold. It's been 55 minutes now. And she says, no way. And I said, yes, this is your number. Look. And she says, I can't believe it. And so they were so nice. They said, from now on, you call 911 every time. And I said, are you sure? I mean, I don't want to hold up their emergency lines. And
Mm-hmm.
she says, absolutely, you have to. And so a nice policeman came out, and I won't use his name. I want to protect him because I don't want him in trouble.
Sure.
And he said, do not ever put your daughter in this school district ever. He says, we will never be able to keep her safe from these people. And they couldn't tell me at that time. Now I understand what he was doing. He couldn't tell
Right.
me
He
that
was
they were
warning
connected
you.
to this gang, but he was warning me.
Yeah. So you took your daughter out,
I did.
obviously. Yeah. Started a new school, fresh. She's doing okay now.
We're homeschooling her. It's
Okay.
taken her a while, but this led me to people would ask me to speak. I spoke on the Capitol steps a couple of years ago with our former lieutenant governor, and she
Mm-hmm.
had formed an education task force to look at the indoctrination in our schools. And
Yeah.
so that got me started on that and doing more research on what was happening in our schools. And my daughter, had a chance to get to know her really well and meet some of our representatives and senators. And
Right.
she probably knows more about our government and the legislative process than most kids her age. And she's really learned a lot, and she's going to be a lot better
Oh,
for
yeah.
for this. She's strong. She's really
Right.
strong, and my boys are strong. And
And are you homeschooling everyone?
yeah, my
Yeah.
son is graduating tonight. He was homeschooled, and he was able to finish his senior year and work full time this year, and he's doing great.
Good. Well,
So
so many educators, even I know they have they have some really deep insight on this because they see where education started. They've seen the decline. Now we all see the indoctrination. We all see the agenda.
right,
Really, public school. There was a massive public school exit for safety, for education, for indoctrination, and then homeschooling, private schools. I mean, moms, we have to figure out a different. It's a different world.
right,
We got to figure out new options, new forms of education. So good
right.
for you, Amy. And I'm glad she's
It's
safe, and I'm glad that she's settled.
I wish I would have done it sooner, but hindsight's 2020. This is how we
Hmm.
learn. We can only do what we know.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I thought I was doing the right thing. So
Well, I
once
think
you,
this is
once you learn, you got to do,
you
better.
do better. Yeah. And this is why it's so great to talk with moms like you because we learn from other moms, right? So there's moms that are listening now that I'm sure their kids are there's a lot of kids that are getting bullied in the public school system. We know that, right? That
Yes.
is nothing new, but it is so intense now and they're so bold and brazen about it. And I mean, school's not a safe place right now. So you got to take your kids out and you got to figure out what else to do. What advice do you have for moms that are listening right now that could be dealing with bullying like this? That you learned. I know you shared some of it, but
Right.
anything else you'd like to share about that?
Well, I tell parents, and it's hard to say this, but it's true. Every day you send your kid to a public school, and I know a lot of really good teachers. So I've got to say that first because I have a lot of really good friends that are good
Sure.
teachers, and
Yes.
they're shining light in the darkness, and that's why they're
Yeah.
staying.
Yeah.
But I just met with a mom a couple of weeks ago, and her son went to a preschool and early elementary with my daughter, and he was 14 last year, sorry, April 23rd,
Mm.
and he killed himself. Killed
Ah,
himself, and that
so
there's nothing
sad.
harder than meeting with parents over and over again, and
Yeah.
they just do the best they can, and they think that they've got it under control. And poor Charlie and his sister Katie came home, and she
Mm.
oh, she just graduated, and she tried to save it, and she
Ah.
just couldn't. And he was so bullied in school, and then he went to a youth facility and he was bullied there.
Ah.
And our programs just aren't
Mm.
not in Idaho. They're just not fit yet. They're not doing what they need to do. And
Yeah, to protect our kids.
no, and my kids have had 12 friends, since this pandemic, I call it, started, that
Mhm.
have committed suicide, and it breaks my heart. And I know it's
Yeah,
hard. I've been a single mom before, so I know when I tell parents, you've got to get your kids out of there. I
yeah,
know what I'm asking when I say, they say, well, I got to work. I get it. But
yeah,
if you think your kids are getting, 7 hours of instruction or even 4 during the day at school, they're not.
right. Yeah.
And you can work full time and still
Mhm.
homeschool your kids. You can.
Yeah,
You
and there's
don't.
pods, there's all kinds of,
Mhm.
it's a different day now because there's parallel education. And, I know a lot of moms, they just either at the private school, they go to the private school and they work, or they, we're doing whatever we have to do as moms and dads to get our kids in a safe environment, whether it's in private school, with a biblical worldview, or at home,
Right.
homeschooling, or in a pod. You just have to do that because, like you saw with your daughter, bullying is a huge issue right now. And it's a tough culture. We know that as parents, we can see what's going on.
All
So
right. And the United Nations, their agenda, and our teachers unions agenda, it's so real and it's
yeah.
so happening. It's not a conspiracy, and
Right.
it's
And they
it's
don't
just
want you
it's
as a
there.
parent to even be involved. We talk to parents all the time and it's like, okay, we don't really care what you say as a mom and dad, they're surviving in the school.
Right.
And that's not what we want. So this
Right.
whole journey has pushed you on to even, right, run for
Yes.
office. I mean, this is
Right.
exciting for you.
Yeah.
Look at the journey. And I'm so glad at the end of the day that your daughter was safe. Thank you, God, that Carly's
Yeah.
okay. But this journey, you really have, just stepped into it. Doors have opened, and now, you're running for state rep?
I am. I'm so excited. So our primary is 2024, but I'm running for state rep.
Yeah.
I just couldn't sit by and watch what this legislator I'm running against, voting with our Democrats, voting to keep corn in schools, and
Mm,
won't talk to the people at all. And I'm sitting working with these people day in and day out, and these moms and dads that are suffering so bad, and
yeah.
all the things we've talked about. And so I did have this parental rights legislation passed last year, and
Good for
I
you.
just knew I had to do it. I just had to step
Right.
up and do it. And so, yep, just announced this last week, and we were in the parade, and my kids were all with me, and it was so much fun. So, no, I'm really looking forward to it.
Good for you.
We've
Look
got
at
to do
that,
what we
mama.
can.
Look at
Yep.
that, mama.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
exciting.
I love it. And another passion of yours too is just you're very concerned. I mean, obviously, you're getting involved in the political process to make a difference. But one of the things that you're concerned about too is just that this administration is trying to take away state sovereignty.
Right.
And I'd like to have you speak to that real quick before we close out with you, because this is something that we all have to understand. It's the bad guys are really bad. I mean, they're not just trying to take away power or adjust or a bill here or there. They are really trying to they're trying to destroy the Constitution.
Absolutely, they are. And it's a little twofold. The Biden administration right now is working very hard through the U.S. Department of Ed to pass this administrative rule to take away our state sovereignty, and
This
through
is
this
unreal.
rules process. And I would love. I've been shouting it from the rooftops for a long time. We have got to pay more attention to this administrative rules process. And 20 states, the AGs have filed through the sixth district court in Tennessee. And so right now there's a hold on it. And I just talked with our representative Barbie Hart last night, and she's filed everybody could send a letter to the U.S. Department, and so I think we've got a hold on it right now, but it's
Good.
very serious because it would make all of our laws that we passed to protect our girls in the bathrooms, in their girls' sports. It would take away all of those bills that we work so hard for in our states. Biden would
Isn't
just
that
eliminate them all,
incredible? Right.
get rid of them.
Isn't that incredible? He wants to have a sweeping power that everything that our legislators that we have, that we have elected to be our voice, all those bills, then he would just start taking away on his agenda. And
Right?
thanks to, Representative Barbara Ehart, I'm saying that correctly. We
Yes.
love her. She is wonderful. She's a champion out there, and that's what we need. We need good legislators like you and Barbara in office fighting for, their community and their states, and those parents. So Thank you for rising up, Mama.
Yes, I love it. And I just encourage moms to just get out there, volunteer, teach their kids about the founding documents. I love what you guys are doing
Yeah.
with your cottage meetings.
Yep. You got it. Cottage
Very
meetings.
important.
Yeah, we are. We just, right? If we can get the mamas educated, if we can get the mamas strong in their stance and liberty and, educating their children, then they go in and they educate and teach and love and raise up the next generation of patriots. So thank you for what you're doing there, Amy. Best of luck on
Thank
your
you.
upcoming election. I know it's going to be a tough, running's not easy, but we'll be
Right.
praying for you. And
Thank
to
you.
God be the glory. Whatever works out, we know that is part of the plan. And to your family, thank you for staying strong and sharing this message with other moms across the country.
Thank you, Debbie. Bless you.
Thanks. Well, thank you once again, Amy, for sharing your story and the best of luck in your campaign. We love seeing mama bears like you taking on the schools and protecting their kids and protecting their families. That's what we do here at Moms for America, right? We help moms protect their kids, their schools, their communities, their homes, and we help them in their journey through motherhood. We are here, moms, for you, and we always want to invite you to join our family. If you have not signed up for our newsletter, I do want to invite you every week to do this as well. This is how you get educated on issues that relate to you as a mom and help you engage with other moms all across the country and in your community. So go to momsforamerica.us and also sign up for our newsletter. When you're there, would you please check out our cool series? It's our signature series. It's called the Cottage Meetings. Amy and I mentioned that quickly in our interview. This is 12 lessons that will inspire you to educate you about America's amazing heritage so that you can share the principles of history and liberty in your home and in your community. This program, the Cottage Meeting, along with many of our others like Healing of America and Cottage for Kids and Liberty Kids, they will help you impact your family in a very powerful way. So please check out the Cottage Meetings and all of our resources, again, on our website, momsforamerica.us. Right, we have everything that moms could need, from public policy to parental rights, from the kitchen table to Congress. Moms for America has so many resources for you. We believe, moms, that liberty begins at home, and we believe that you moms are the heartbeat of America. That's why this movement, Moms for America, is so powerful, because it's moms like you going to save our country and protect our children. So kudos to you, mamas. Alrighty, I do want to invite you to join us next week for another inspiring and informative discussion for moms just like you. We will see you here back next week, and let's keep changing our world one home at a time. Thanks, moms.